I've been appalled at the way in which since 2010 we run down our armed services, we don't discuss vital foreign policy matters, and even what is happening in Ukraine, well, frankly, it seems to me most of the British public are frankly bored with it at this moment in time. Perhaps I'm wrong, but that's the impression I've got. And yet we have a contest for who will be the next British Prime Minister, and the first function of government and of a Prime Minister is to protect the nation. Defence is ultimately the #1 priority. Unless I've missed something, it's barely being discussed. Well, joining me to discuss all of this and more is Robert Fox, defence editor of the London Evening Standard, a veteran, I think I can call you, of these, of these matters. But you've been writing, travelling the world, studying this stuff for a long, long time. I mean, am I right to say that we do potentially face greater threats than we have for a very long time?
Yes, in a word, because, as Stephen Lovegrove said, what he had got his finger on, there is hugely greater uncertainty. And particularly Putin now, in his current mood, is very, very unpredictable. But not only he, as you're saying, things are looking very fragile and wobbly right around the Pacific at the moment.
Yeah, and with Putin, you know, when you get British cabinet ministers saying we're going to put him on a Nuremberg-style war crimes trial, is that the right rhetoric to be using?
No. Because he is a problem. He has produced a problem with the invasion of Ukraine, a sovereign, independent country. We've signed up to the sovereignty and the independence through things like the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which Russia signed up to, or whatever. We believe it has its place, and Britain has guaranteed in the past that it should be an independent member of the United Nations. Putin is on a roll. He is up to something. It is very difficult to see in his mind, but we know that that is threatening. Yes, his foreign minister, Lavrov, has said, we want regime change. In other words, we want to wipe out Ukraine as a separate entity. It's a threat. An independent, westward-looking Ukraine in whatever form is seen as a threat to Russia as constituted under the regime of Putin and friends. And that's where the trouble really starts. Because they're saying they're worried about the Eastern NATO partners. How seriously do we take the partnership? But it's not theoretical. Very quickly, it is of vital security interest to this country in terms of things like food, energy security, keeping sea lanes open. We're in the mix as much as anybody. And as you quite say, surprisingly, Biden seemed to get this quite early on.
But, I mean, presumably wars come to an end at some point through a negotiation. Is there any attempt to talk to Putin, or is this the wrong time, in your opinion?
It seems to be the wrong time at the moment, because nobody that has leverage, and Erdogan of Turkey has tried it.
He's trying to be the broker, hasn't he?
Yeah, and various others. And even, I think, people in behind Xi, for various reasons, in China. It's very complicated, but very important how they see Russia and all that. They want stealth. They don't want this confrontation. Putin is in no mood to talk at the moment, nor, of course, is Zelensky, as he reminds us every night. But you're quite right. I think that the nostrum must be, and I wish we were hearing it from our two potential future prime ministers: confront, contain, but contact. The 3 C's. And there's no sign of that at all.
Bring our viewers and listeners up to speed, because thus far, in this debate for who's going to be the next Conservative leader, and indeed our next Prime Minister, it's all about tax. There's virtually nothing else being discussed. Where are they on Ukraine? Where are they on China? Where are they on defence?
Well, they haven't focused on the fact that the security, as I said, is home and abroad. They're contained at the moment. That's why it's not a bolt-on nuisance, which is what a lot of people in the Treasury traditionally have seen it as. It is as the brighter brains in our strategic thinking are saying, what is going on in Ukraine is non-discretionary. I just want to say that we are seeing a revolution in war. It's the dark war, the digital war, which has frightening implications, and we don't fully understand it, and we should be focusing on that. Now, to answer your question, I have only heard so far. Sunak earlier this year thought defence was too expensive and he wanted cuts. And of course, Treasury, it's the easiest one, and they always look at the third-party fire and theft, as it were, which is welfare, pensions and things like that. They wanted to cut personnel again. Now, Truss is more interesting. She said she supported that, but she did mutter, we'll support Ukraine as far as we can afford it. So that could mean anything.
Yeah, we don't really want Ukraine to win, do we?
Well, I think there's a tremendous problem that if... By the way, I don't think Ukraine is going to lose. I think Ukraine will go on. It will go on. It's got this.
There's going to be a stalemate in the East, isn't there?
Exactly.
Yes.
And by the way, Nigel, there are several of them around. Georgia, for example, the Caucasus, and so on. And that's what I fear. It's not going to be a not quite frozen war, and it will blow up from time to time in unpredictable ways because Ukraine is so close to the Baltics. It's so close to the entrance to the Atlantic. And that's why, I'm sorry, non-discretionary. It's a must.
Thank you very much indeed, Robert Fox, for joining us. And I hope we've made the case this evening between the two of us that this must be taken more seriously, and the leadership candidates to be our next Prime Minister have to be questioned on this more thoroughly, more eagerly over the course of the next, goodness me, there's almost 6 weeks left, believe it or not, in this election. We are not taking defence seriously enough, and I believe that very, very strongly. Now, 2016, we woke up on the